Welcome to my presentation held at the AMI Plastics Regulations Conference 2018, and it was held in Cologne, Germany. My name is Dr. Daniel Friedrich, and I would like to talk to you about self-regulation in the biofiber reinforced plastics industry, the power behind eco-labels. I would like to give you first some inputs about bio-based plastics composite products and their sustainability aspects. Then we will discuss effects of product differentiation on the social welfare, maybe by means of eco-labeling, and how this will contribute to the buying behavior of consumers and what are the effects on the social welfare from an economic point of view. And finally we will summarize the lessons learned. Today's WPC, they are more or less a technology transferring less environmental friendly bulk plastics consuming petrochemical resources to pure green composite materials which become bio-based and at the same time biodegradable. And on the way to there, WPC could be an intermediate technology which is at least partly bio-based by the wood fibers embedded, but still not yet fully biodegradable. So maybe in the future there will be better technologies to replace even the remaining petrochemical polymer matrix by biopolymers and making this material fully biodegradable. What could be good arguments why embedding wood fibers in conventional plastics? This provides a higher material stiffness, so products made of WPC are also stiff and can be used for maybe building applications. They also gain in bending strength by the wood fibers, which are acting like a reinforcement in the plastics matrix. We have a higher material self-weight, which is also beneficial, for example, for a facade application. The extruded profiles, they gain in wall thickness, which also makes them less susceptible to deformations when cooling down right after the extrusion process. And they are also less affected by thermal expansion, and particularly in facade applications, for example, where the facades gain in temperature from the sun. They keep their form much better when wood fibers are embedded. And finally, they preserve oil resources, so they also provide a higher utility in environmental preservation. So there are also opportunities for the plastics industry. They can use WPC also for further application in maybe automotive or building sector. And they can use a very cheap raw material, which are wood fibers, as a byproduct from the sawmill industry, which can be sourced from the sawmill industry at very low costs. So what is the effect of using WPC instead of pure plastics? Today's products, taking facade panels as an example, as a pure PVC panel, they are offered for around about 25 euros per square meter in the market. When embedding the wood fibers and improving the extrusion technology, they will be surely higher in production costs, and they will then also be offered in the market for, let's say, 50 euros per square meter. This is a usual price you will find for today's WPC cladding profiles. So the higher price is justified because also the production costs, they increase. All this information which I provide now with the following slides, they are the results from a research study conducted by Compolytics, Composite, Polymer and Policy Analytics, and they are already published, and this is the reference referring to this study reported here. Now let's assume a consumer who is not aware of the environmental utility coming from WPC and still focusing very much on the conventional fossil-based plastics cladding. offered for 25 euros, and the per unit production costs are something like 15 euros per square meter. And while this person is not knowing about the eco sustainability advantages coming from WPC, this person will still buy the fossil-based cladding at 25 euros and would even have been ready to pay slightly more, let's say 45 euros. When doing so, the consumer think they acted right, but in reality, these fossil plastics-based products, they create environmental harmfulness and also damage costs, which will be covered later when this damage occurs in the environment by the society. So in economic point of view, there is the social welfare, which by definition is the area under the price-demand curve. And this area contains also the damage costs, which is indicated here by the yellow surface. So the social welfare in reality is less than the social welfare we gain by this economic model, which is indicated by the blue line. So obviously there is a mistake in the base assumption, because we normally are not aware about the damage costs arising from this buying behavior. Let's now assume that this person is aware of the sustainability advantages arising from WPC, and by knowing so, maybe because there is an eco label on the WPC product, the consumers, they would be ready to pay the 50 euros, which are justified because also the production costs, they increased by this new technology, but would even have been ready to pay far more, maybe up to 75 euros per square meter, because acting environmentally friendly is demanded by these consumer groups. What will happen with the social welfare gained by the area below the price demand function? Well, with WPC we have higher prices, and with the higher costs associated to this new material, the industry will produce less. So demand will go down, but at the same time, the willingness to pay, as indicated here, will be higher, which is a shift of the price demand curve upwards. And now the area underneath is maybe the same as before, but the main difference is that the yellow area became much less, because now environmental damage costs, they are minimized by this environmental friendly material WPC. So the main effect is that this sustainable material will massively decrease the environmental damage costs at maybe similar social welfare, to the benefit of the environment, but also to the benefit of the society, because they will not have to pay for the damage costs arising in the future, because there will be nearly no damage costs at all. So the next question is, do we have enough eco-labeling to really provoke this internalization effect in the market, so making us becoming aware that such greener products are environmentally friendly, and to release a higher willingness to pay? Well, today's eco-labels, they more or less affect some ingredients, like the FSC or PFC labeling, which is for sustainable forestry, but this will not affect the complete WPC material. There is the ISO label, indicating that the management of such companies is sustainably oriented, but still not valid for the complete material. We have EPDs, which are more saying about the production technology and the environmental friendliness of the complete material technology. And we have also a label, which is the label Qualitätsgemeinschaft Holzwerkstoffe, which was explicitly released for WPC, but not only for particular applications, like for the WPC decking profiles. So an explicit eco label for WPC as a whole is still missing, and this is a suboptimal situation in the market, and This is one demand arising from the study conducted by Compolytics, is that we urgently need an eco-labeling for WPC products. When this will be the case, then we indeed have this internalization effect, which first will be by offering WPC products under a higher technology or cost provoking technology. The industry will first reduce the output volume. This is the first effect, and offer this WPC product at a higher price. But at the same time, we have the shift of the price demand function due to a higher willingness to pay of consumers, and this will then again have an effect on the willingness to accept higher prices, and the industry could even demand higher prices than before under the point 2. And this is beneficial for the industry because when using the more costly WPC technology, they could even demand higher prices and at least could keep their old profit. And this is an incentive for turning from the brown plastics technology to the greener WPC technology, and at the same time reducing or minimizing environmental damage costs for the sake of the environment and the society. And this is also reflected then in the social welfare area, which is the area underneath the price demand function. Here we have then completely removed any environmental damage costs, and this is then the real social welfare, not necessarily less than before under the brown technology, but the main point is that we will have much less or even no environmental damage anymore, and this will maybe even reach the old output volume or even a higher output volume, because the willingness to pay, which is indicated by the position of this line here, might be even higher than before. And this is a positive output from the internalization effect by eco-labeling used for WPC products. So what we learned is that green plastics increase the production costs because they use a more costly production technology, but they are a means of internalization of future damage costs coming from the previous brown technology. The optimal degree of greenness depends on the estimation of the damage costs from crude oil resource use. The optimal social welfare is when the abatement cost curve, the marginal cost curve, equals the marginal social cost curve. This was this intersection point between these two lines. The total greenness is socially suboptimal, which means completing all brown plastics by green plastics is suboptimal, and also having no greenness at all and keeping the old brown technology is also suboptimal. Somewhere in between is the economic efficiency. A partial greenness is then the best solution, and this is achieved by eco-labeling, which induces consumer demand, so a shift of the price demand function upwards, and even allows for at least the same or even higher producer surpluses as an incentive to switch to this new technology, which is then also linked to an increase of social welfare after eco-labeling, which is quite likely according to this economic model theory which we investigated before. This is an overview about the references. There's also the reference from this study conducted by Compolytics as the basics for the assumptions used here in the economic model. With this last slide, I would like to say thank you for your attention, and if you are interested in further information within the Compolytics research series, you can easily find them on compolytics.de. Thank you very much.